Going live. Hello, everyone. Lil Moore here. What's up with Saturday Cup of Joe? We got people on Periscope. We have myself. We have a guest today that's going to show us a few things about MLP. He's going to talk to us about elevator pitches. We're going to talk about everything. Of course, you know how we do here on Saturday Cup of Joe. I hope you guys are having a fabulous day this morning. I'm excited to be alive. Let me tell you, I woke up this morning and I was like, I'm alive again, man. What am I going to do today to change the world? I hope we're going to get to change the world for you with information that you're going to get, or we're going to do some things that's going to, let every, spirit in your body remind yourself that you can go out and do anything you can do, okay? So with that being said, I want to say most of y'all wondering where Bill is, my counterpart. Bill is preparing for a wedding, okay? Understand, Bill and I are kind of weird like this. Bill is preparing for 2 weddings. He's getting married somewhere like in out of the country, and then he's coming back in Pittsburgh. So he's real busy. And like I said in the email, guys, I went and got my tux fitted in the wedding before he did. So that lets you know he's a little bit behind on things. So don't be afraid. Bill's still there. He's coming back real soon. All right. So let's get back to what we're here for. Let's get some great information. Sit back, relax, take all the distractions away because I want you to get this. All right. So we are bringing on an amazing guest all the way from Canada, because you know what I always say about Canadians, that's where all the smart people live. I need to make sure I start moving there before I die here. So with that being said, we got an amazing speaker, got an amazing guy here. We want to bring on Michel Neray. What's up, my man?
Hey, Lem, how you doing? Thank you very much. I had to laugh out loud, when you said all the smart people are up there. I thought they were all in Texas.
No. I'll tell you that we don't have a lot of smart people here in Texas. Let me tell you.
Well, we know there's at least one, so we're good.
Yeah, that's good. So how are you doing, my man?
Awesome. I was telling you, it's a beautiful day here. I'm out in my backyard. This is fantastic. Life could not be better. Let me tell you.
Yes. And I hear the nice little cicadas going on in the background. It looks good too. I was wondering to myself, I was thinking, I wish I could go outside and just sit and do some work. You know what I mean? That would be nice.
I like.
But here in Texas,
yeah, you can't go outside in Texas. It's just too hot.
Too hot. So what I want to do is, we want to talk about a few things here, and get everyone to, wonder who you are and know a little bit about you. And we, these guys have seen me on Cup of Joe before. Where did you grow up? Did you grow up in Canada? Did you grow up in the States? Where'd you grow up?
There's a whole story behind that little question there.
I told you I was going to throw you off.
Yeah, you just knew right where to go. Now, I grew up in Montreal. Born and raised in Montreal, spent a lot of time, lived for a year. Later lived for a year in France, lived for a year in the U.S., been all over the world, spoken in 8 countries. But yeah, and really the formation of who I am, and in fact, I don't know if we'll get into this story, but the formation of what I do and how I help other people, really the genesis of that is in Montreal.
Wow, that's nice. You have any brothers, sisters, or anything like that?
Yes, I got one brother. He lives in Boston. Go there to see him as often as I could. I got one dog, 3 kids, and 1 wife.
I asked about siblings and all that because, sometimes they make us who we are. There's always some kind of story that leads you into, your background. So that's the reason why I give these questions sometimes at the beginning, just to see, I understand. It makes sense now,
Yeah. So basically you want me to tell the story of how my older brother terrorized me around the house by chasing me around with a little rubber knife, and he would get me on the ground and then he would tickle me until I cried. That's the story you want to tell? You want me to tell?
Oh my goodness. We won't get into that because I know sometimes you're like, really? And then you have to call your brother after the show. I can't believe you tortured me like that.
I think he's more traumatized about that than I am.
Nice, nice. So you are a speaker, you're a co-author of a book. And tell us about this book you've written, you co-authored with.
Oh God, which one? So I'm included in a couple of books. I co-wrote a book called The Great Crossover with Dan Sullivan. You might know it's a bestseller. It was on
Right.
It was, it got onto bestseller lists and recommendation lists, all that kind of stuff. So that's cool. And that's all about how entrepreneurs of the day can really take advantage of not just technology, but the technology of life to improve their lifestyle and their businesses. Hey, Bill.
Oh, my goodness. It's a miracle, y'all. Oh, Bill's in the house. Go ahead, Michel.
So that's one book. I also was in another book called Sales Gurus Speak Out, and it was all about, my bit in that was how everything starts with a conversation, whether it's a sales call or I mean, it doesn't matter. Everything, all good things in life start with a conversation. As my good friend said, Phil Newman said to me one day, he said, you know what? If my mother never had a conversation with my father, well, I wouldn't be here.
Man, that is so true. Families, relationships, lifestyle starts from a simple conversation. I'm glad you said that.
Yeah.
That's very nice. Wow.
Yep.
Crossover book, the bestseller, real quick, though. I want to back up.
Okay.
You said how entrepreneurs right now in this day and time do well. Let's talk about that because that wasn't even on the list, but I'm glad you said that,
So, entrepreneurs, I think anybody in business, whether we're talking about ourselves personally or whether we're talking ourselves in a professional situation, I think, one of the key challenges that we all have is how do we communicate what it is that we do? And especially, how do we differentiate ourselves from the sea of people, all of whom do pretty much the same thing? I don't care what business you're in. There are a million people who do the same thing that we do. And especially now, I mean, if it was true 20 years ago, it's true to the power 300 today, because with the internet, we're not only competing with people who are across the street from us, down the road from us, but we're competing with people, halfway or all the way across the world from us with the internet. So there's always that thing about how do we communicate what it is that we do in a way that's, well, first of all, in a way that's engaging, in a way that brings people into the conversation. There's that word again.
Right.
In a way that brings people into the conversation, but also in a way that really makes it clear that you might have seen other people with the same business card or title or whatever, but you know what? The way we do it, how we do it, we're a little bit different. And if that rings true with you, then hey, let's talk about it further. It's not about a sales pitch. It's not about, an elevator pitch. I know we talked about elevators. It's not about getting as much information as we can in as short a time as we can. That's like ramming it down your throat. That's not going to engage people in conversation, is it? It's not about that. It's about what is it that I could say that will intrigue the other person to take the conversation to the next step. Now, that's on a professional level. But on a personal level, it's I think we are all driven by, how can I say this? It's like we all walk around wondering, whether it's at the front of our minds or at the back of our minds, like, what is it that I do that's unique and special? What is it that I have that contributes to the world? What is it? What is my gift? I mean, we could, that whole thing about purpose and stuff. I don't want to talk about that kind of language, but there's truth in it. We want to know what makes us special. Why am I here? What is that value? Now, Lem, if I could combine, what we were talking about earlier, the professional, what is it that I do that's unique and different that'll help my customers buy from me?
Right.
If I could combine that part with what is it about who I am as a person, And what is it that makes me unique, special as a person? What if I could combine those two? Wouldn't that be cool?
That would be awesome. That would be amazing. And, you know, when you are generally talking to people, they are interested in learning and knowing more about you as a person as well. I know I sit down like at doctor's offices. I took a picture this week, but sitting down and talking to people, they want to know what you do, because you never know what kind of conversation is going to lead off to. And it's like, people really want to know people, regardless of who you are. Absolutely. We really are interested in wanting to know other backgrounds. So I love this conversation, man. You're right on.
So, okay, cool. You froze there for a second.
Okay.
But you know, I don't know if you want me to go there, but I'll you know, you asked right at the very beginning, where was I born, and I said, you know, there's a story there. So I'll tell you a little bit about my background and who I am, because it really explains why I do and how I do what I do today.
That's why I asked that question.
Yeah, you're good. You're good. I told you there was one in Texas. So
go ahead, take it away.
So, you know, my parents, they were both involved, you know, in the Second World War. You know, I'm of that generation. My mother spent a year in Auschwitz. She was a survivor of the Holocaust. My father spent more than a year in the French Foreign Legion, fighting, like, was involved in some horrific battles, some of which are written up in the internet. You know, I've got to tell you, like, anyway, all that. 10 years after the war, he goes to a dance for victims of the war. In the elevator, so this will make you laugh, in the elevator, started talking to a woman. Got to the 10th floor, didn't get out, pressed the ground button again, went straight back out. 3 months later, they're married. I'm thinking, you know, elevator pitch, you know, I got to learn what to do what he did.
Wow.
Oh, he's a true natural player. I love that.
So they talk about elevator. But so anyway, so, you know, they wanted to give their kids a new life, you know, give them the chance and the opportunities that, you know, they had never had. So they moved to Canada. Actually, here's the deal. They put in their papers for both the U.S. and Canada, and just Canada came first. They said, okay, let's go there. So that's what happened. So here I was, you know, I was French speaking. My first language was French, and when they had to send me to school, they had to decide what school to send me to. So they had the choice of the French school, but, you know, in Quebec, in Montreal, is very, very clearly kind of differentiated or categorized by language and religion at the time. Not now, not so much anymore. So if you went to a French school, it was a Roman Catholic school. If they sent me to the English school, it was a Protestant school. And right, and that's the way it worked. So, and they
really, I did not know that.
They could have sent me to the Hebrew school, the Jewish school, but that was a private school. My parents didn't have a lot of money, so they had a dilemma on their hands. So what they ended up doing was they decided, you know what, we'll send little Michel and his brother to the Protestant school. So here I was, and we're you know, go back many years before you were born, Lem. So you got to picture this. It was much more religious than it is today. Every day I recited the Lord's Prayer. Every day we sang 2 hymns, and we pledged allegiance to the Queen. I remember a picture was right there.
Go on, the Queen, go on.
That's the way it was. And so, and you know what? Here's the deal. So even though we recited the Lord's Prayer and sang 2 hymns every day, no, okay, you got to back up a little bit. Here, I tell you, I was in the Protestant English school. So 28 of the 30 kids in my class were also Jewish.
Oh, wow.
Because I know, and none of us thought this was weird.
Right.
It's just it's just, you know, okay, that's what we do here. That's what we did. But here I was a little French Jewish kid in an English Protestant school in a French Catholic province. Okay, got that? So it didn't matter what group of kids I hung with. I was always the odd kid out. So to my English friends, I was the French frog. That's what I was. To my French friends, I was the maudit anglais. And if you don't know what maudit means, just think F word. Never mind. That's what it means. You know, basic translation, that's what it means. And to everybody outside of my little community, I was the maudit juif. Again, think F word along with Jew. So,
oh my goodness!
So it didn't matter what group of kids I hung with, and I got to tell you, it surprises people now, but I was a shy kid. I was a shy kid. I was the kind of kid that would hide behind his mother's apron. You know, I would like don't. But anyway, so you might think a shy kid like that would do everything in his little power to blend in, not stand out. You know, just don't call attention to me, right?
Right.
But that's not what I did. And I think it has to do with the fact that, the experience of my parents going through the horrendous experience that they did. And I was thinking, never again, I'm going to be proud of who I am. And it's almost like, so to my French friends, I spoke English. To my English friends, I spoke French. And outside of my little community, I made no bones about the fact that I was Jewish. And it was almost like I wrapped myself up in the flag of being different, of really being who I am.
Right, right.
And so here's what happened. What happened was the more I did that, the more I appreciated and brought out the unique differences that all of my friends had. It's just like, hey, this is who I am, and I just got a mindset of cluing in to what makes you unique, who you are. And like now, I'm saying this with the power of 20/20 hindsight. I didn't think about that at the time I was a little kid. But 30 years later, my clients tell me, or they ask me, Michel, how did you clue into our differentiation so quickly? And for the longest time, I'd say, I don't know. It's just what I do. And it took me a long time to figure, maybe there's a link between who I was as a little kid, and what I do professionally today. And when I work with my clients and help them bring out their unique differentiation, what I find is that 98% of the time, there's a link to who they are and their upbringing and the core of their personality, which was formed as a kid. That's what I do.
That is amazing you say that, because now when you were explaining that, I went back in my childhood. You made me take a trip real quick, and the neighborhood that I lived in, we had there was white people, there was black, there was Laotian, there was Hispanic, there were lots of girls, and I know my sisters. I have 4 sisters, and I knew that I could be around any girl and talk to them because it wasn't an issue for me because of my crazy sisters. Because what did they do? They always took me everywhere with nothing but girls, and it's Lemmy, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, get away from me, whatever. But I knew how to talk to them. My Laotian friends, they would always take me with their family members, and I was always the oddball out, Yeah. I had a lot of different white friends, and I was always the oddball out. A lot of good black friends. I get that. I totally get that now, and I think that's why I can talk to anyone and relate to what they're doing. That's amazing, man. It just hit me. I know why. I know why now. My goodness.
So, Lam, let me tell you. So next time you're putting together a signature story for your keynote speech, think about that. Because people, and again, I work with speakers to help them craft their signature story. And what's more human than that? What's more engaging than that? And what's more authentic and true than that? So good. Thank you for saying that.
Yes, that's true. Wow. So we're kind of talking about this now, but I'd like to thank everyone for joining us on here, with Periscope, via Periscope, and through Hangout and all that. Guys, we're talking with Michel Neray. We're talking about connection. This is all about connections now.
Yeah, well, that's what it is.
Connecting with people. So let's talk about the essential message. I saw that a lot. And
yeah.
we're going to talk about this,
Well, guess what? We've been talking about the essential message for the last 15 minutes.
I know, but let's get deeper, okay? So when you are trying to really, lay the foundations of what you're doing, how do you go about doing that when you're trying, talking to someone else?
Yeah. So, I use a model which I call the 5 layers of differentiation. So if you could imagine, we're going to dig through them real fast right now.
Okay.
So, sometimes I see myself as a brand archaeologist. And you got to dig, you got to dig, you got to dig until you reach those nuggets. Until you reach, the thing of value, the thing that's significant, and the thing that's been there a long time, that archaeological piece that's beautiful, that'll go in a museum, that explains the whole culture. That's what I do. So imagine at the top level there's the what level. Okay, what is it that I do? Now most people do that. I sell real estate, I sell products for this network marketing company, I sell or I'm a lawyer, I do legal services, whatever, all of that stuff. Most of us know the answer to that. So let's dig a little deeper. The next layer is what I call the who, where, when level. Who do I do it for? What stage of life or business, am I most appropriate for? Or maybe is there a geographical boundary that I work in? And those are good to know. And the way I work is that you only dig as deep as you need to go.
Right.
Don't complicate your life. Okay, don't, you don't need to dig deeper, just don't bother, right? So if I am the only lawyer in Pittsfield, Kentucky that does real estate for people in the financial industry, and that's a big enough market, hey, listen, I'm the guy. Come to me, put it on my business card, that's all I need, right?
Right.
But as we said at the start, we don't live in a world like that where we could, we compete with everybody. There's still some, there are still some professions where where geography is important, or one of those other definitions are, you can really, as Seth Godin said, I love one of his books, I think it was in The Dip, he said, your job is to be the best in the world. But here's the deal, you define your world any way you want. So, got it?
Yep, got it.
So this is what you use to define your world. But we're only at the second layer, and I got to tell you, most marketers and branding experts worth their salt can dig at least to this level. The third level down, I'm digging. Third level down is what I call the why, the credibility layer, the why believe me layer. And that's, how many years have I been in the business? How many clients or customers do I have? How many testimonials or case studies do I have? How many letters do I have after my name? All of that stuff. Now, again, most of us can dig to this level. Most of us can. Right? This is a credibility. Why believe me? But here's the deal. It doesn't matter whether you're fresh out of school. You can, and I'm not using this in a negative way, but you can spin that to a positive.
Right.
Or whether you've just been out of school or you've been a veteran of the industry for 40, 50 years, doesn't matter, Choose me, you can believe me, you can trust the results that I have because I've been in the industry for 50 years, or you can get the results that I have because I bring you the fresh thinking that only someone who's new to the industry will bring, instead of those same old solutions that those old guys do, right? So I've been doing this a while. I know what I'm doing, right? So that's the third layer down. And again, any brand expert, communications expert should be able to dig down. But it's the next 2 layers down where I get the most gold for my clients. So the next layer down is the how do I do what I do. How is so important. How I do what I do. Most of us don't know how we do what we do. And we don't know how we do what we do because it comes so naturally to us. Let me, well, this is fun. Let me.
I love it.
You know what that means? That means this is an important question coming. Listen to this. Let me ask you a question. Has anybody ever paid you a compliment, and your first response is like, it's nothing, just what I do?
True.
You're right. Guilty as charged, right?
Right.
We've all experienced that. The reason why you feel that, you feel like, it's nothing. Why are you complimenting me? This is just what I do. I'm not even aware of it. So no big deal. Well, you know that old thing. We've been taught that it's not valuable unless it's hard, all of that stuff. But more importantly, it feels like nothing to you because you do it so naturally.
Right.
So really, and at the same time, so brilliantly. So it doesn't occur to you that there's anything special to it. But remember this, easy for you, hard for others.
True.
That's why you're getting a compliment on it.
True.
Right? So you know that story that I was telling you about me growing up? I didn't know that I was doing it. I didn't know that I had this unique ability to kind of pick out somebody else's, differentiation, unique brand proposition, all that. It's just what I did. So when my clients, I was running an ad agency, built it up to 12 people at a time. That's the comment that my clients gave me most often. And I would always say, ads, and then I had to think about it. And said, it occurs to me, wait a minute, and it took me years to figure, like now it's obvious to me, but it took me years to figure this out. So you know what? They would give me a brief, and I'd look at the brief and I'd say, well, if I follow the brief, I'm just going to make my clients sound like all the other competitors out there. So I took it upon myself to go back to the client's office and spend however much time I needed to spend with them, whether it was half a day, an hour, 2 hours, or a week, to dig deep and figure it out. And I would just have a conversation with them.
Right.
But I would dig deep, and then I'd say, okay, I think we got something. Let me work with this, and they would be really happy with it. So okay, obvious question. Do you think I charged for that service?
I hope, probably not, but
probably not. And yet think of the comment that they would give me when we were done.
Right.
They said for the first time in our history, we actually have a deeper understanding of who we are, how we do it, and why we do it. Wow, this is so great. How did you get to our differentiation so quickly? And again, I'd say, I don't know, it's just what I do.
That's what I do.
This is the most valuable thing of everything I did for them, and that was the piece I was giving away free. Why? Because I wasn't even aware I was doing it. And I think we all do that.
True.
So that's the fourth layer. How I did my advertising with them was by focusing on the core differentiators. That's my how. And I had a whole process, a subconscious process, unconscious process to help them get there. But that's how I did what I did. The why I did, but now it's not, so here, write this down. Everybody on the call, write this down. It's not why I did it's not why I did what I did, it's how I did what I did. So for you, it's why I do, how I do, what I do. Why I do, how I do, what I do. So when most people answer the why question, they say, why am I a coach? Why am I selling real estate? Why am I, or whatever it is? Why am I a lawyer? Why am I a doctor? But that's not what I'm answering. I'm answering why I do the way I do my profession.
Right.
And that question can be answered 9.8 times out of 10 by looking at those really deep human stories of who you are as a person.
Very nice. Very nice. I get that. I so get that. Wow. And I wrote those down. I don't know what all you other people, I always say note takers are money makers. Y'all better get on that, people. All right. So we're going to shift focus on here because there's a lot of things that we would love to talk about, but I know time won't let us do it because I know right now you and I can just keep talking.
Probably can.
So I want to blend in your Mo Mondays because I want you to explain to us and our audience what it is, you know, and it's kind of interesting. So let us know what it is.
All right, cool. Thank you for asking. Mo Mondays started out as just a side project for me, and it's really now taken over. I mean, I'm just so thrilled with it. Mo Mondays really came out of a genesis. You know, I was like you. I went to networking events. I belonged to associations. I did all of that stuff.
Right.
And I just got, all right, think after. I got tired of it.
I can totally relate.
You got it, right? Yeah, of course. I just got tired. So I said, you know, if I were to put an event of my own together, how can I do it in a way that it would be an event that I would want to go to? So, I mean, and again, I'm talking about it now as if it's highly strategic and I masterminded it, and that's not at all the case. I'm just, with the benefit of hindsight, I'm able to look at it and see why I did what I did, to see what made it different. I thought, well, you know, I really want a story. You know, I'm a professional speaker. I want a venue for people who are sharing their stories. But I was telling even my professional speaker friends, I said, you know, I don't want to hear a story that you've told your corporate audiences.
Right.
Been there, done that, not interested. I want to hear a story that gives me a glimpse into the real you. And they said, oh, you know, okay, that's scary. That's what they said. I said, yeah, it's scary, but that's what I want to hear. And then I also brought in people who are not speakers, never been on stage before, but oh my God, they got a powerful story to share. And they're the ones, you know, with their hands shaking and their notes in their hand. They don't use any of the tricks and techniques that we are taught in speaker school, you know, but they're totally engaging because, you know, they're real.
You know, I like you saying that because you know what they say, the most wealthiest place in the world is a graveyard, and people don't ever get out and tell their stories or their ideas, and this is perfect for that, man.
This is good. This is good. You're absolutely right. So I said, okay, and then I did a couple of other things. I said, you know what? When we started on the second floor of a tea room, 17 people showed up. You know, 7 of them were the speakers. The other 8 were, you know, me and the staff. But anyway, so 3 months later they kicked us out because we weren't bringing in enough of a crowd for them. And then we moved to a jazz bar. Fantastic. Real sound, real stage, real lighting, real music, real alcohol. Tell you. Powerful combination there. And it's true. And I also, so that made a difference. And the other thing is, you know, we're going to have fun. So, you know, I was involved in stand-up comedy. You see my personality. It's fun. It's upbeat, I think. You know, we had laughs. We had music. I started bringing musicians in as well, mixing them into the roster for the night. So we had some comedy. We had some personal stories. We had some live music. We had it in a bar nightclub. And it just, like, took off, you know, like, when 25 people, 36 people, 44 people, 56, 66, 78, 86, 96. Then my friend called me up from Winnipeg. She said, Michelle, I love what you're doing with Mo Mondays. I want to do it there. And I said, Stephanie, if we do it in Winnipeg, I'm going to have to open it up to other cities. And she said, I'm going to help you because this concept needs to be around the world. And I said, you got it, honey. And that's what we did. We're now in 10 cities across North America. Yeah, it's cool, huh? And it's because I think people are hungry for this. You know, you can go to networking events, but then you kind of like, this is my professional life and I keep my personal life separate. You can go to stand-up comedy, but at the end of the night, think about, what was I laughing at? You know?
Right. Right.
You know, that's, you know, or you can go to another, you know, networking event or professional speaker event, and you know they're just trying to sell you something at the back of the room. Enough of that, right? You know, you got it. So we got a policy. There's a no selling policy at Mo Mondays. No selling, no, and every speaker signs an agreement. No selling, no teaching, no preaching, nothing. We want to hear the real story.
So what are some stories that were? I mean, just give us a few stories that have been shared with Mo Mondays. This sounds really interesting, man.
Oh God, we've heard it all. So, we heard stories from oh God, where do I start? Like you do hear the intense stories. People who were abused, but we don't leave it there. We said this is how I got over it. And now I can make fun of it. Now I run marathons in support of this because that's what I do, and this is why I do it. And they're hugely intense and powerful stories, and if they could mix in a bit of humor, even better. So you have those, but you also have the story of the woman, older woman, who likened herself, the evolution of her self-awareness, to the shape of her boobs.
That's deep. That is deep.
And as she got older and they kind of changed, her self-awareness kind of like deepened.
Huh.
So it was a powerful message, but oh my God, it was hilarious. We heard the story of the musician who was had written huge songs, like big hits,
right?
And how he missed international stardom just by missing a meeting and all that stuff, and where he is today, and anyway, so it's just like incredible stories. We've had stories from celebrities, we've had stories from everyday people, and it's the blend, it's the variety that I think makes Mo Mondays so unique, so special.
So, is there a funny story about your mother that you're supposed to be sharing with us?
There is. You know what? I'll just tell you one thing. Man, is this the story I want to tell on a webcast?
Hey, man, we keep it live and real here on Saturday.
Here we go.
All right. Oh man. There's a lot of my mother in Mo Mondays. I got to tell you, there's a lot of my mother in Mo Mondays, and I think, she passed away in 2011, and exactly a year later was when I launched my first Mo Mondays. And I think we all walk around our lives, looking for that little puzzle piece of that who we are, what we do that's unique in the world. I mean, that's how we started this conversation, Lem.
That's
true.
And
every once in a while you pick up a piece and you say, yeah, I know where it fits. It fits right here. And for me, I got one of those little puzzle pieces when I was sitting on literally the deathbed of my mother. We knew she was going to pass away. She had a terminal illness. She 87 years old. 3 months to live, and thank God I have my wonderful wife who said spend as much time as you can with her because you'll never have this opportunity again. And you hear about those things. You ask your parents the simple questions. One of the questions was, what's the funniest thing that ever happened to you? So I said, okay, there she is. She's lying in bed and eyes half closed and a little bit drugged up from the morphine and all of that, and I said, Mom, what's the funniest thing that ever happened to you?
Mm-hmm.
And she gets up and her eyes widen and she said, well, we had just arrived at the camps. Now, I told you my mother was in Auschwitz.
Right.
When she says the camps, she's not talking about summer camp.
Right.
And I'm thinking, I just asked you what's the funniest thing that ever happened to you, and you are about to tell me a story about you in Auschwitz.
Right.
Help me understand. And then my mother's French, has a French accent, and she goes, yes. She could see on my face. What are you talking about? Yes, we had just arrived at the camps. And you know, we didn't know where everything was. We were new, and so the guard asked us to clean the latrines and to bring the pail from over here to, and she pointed with her baton over there somewhere. So I go with my friend, and we carry the pail, and it's splashing on our shoes, and we take it to where we think the guard wants us to take it. And all of a sudden, I feel the baton on my head, on my back, and she's beating me, and she's beating me, and I fall to the ground, and the shit is flying all over the place. And I look up at the guard, and she's got a patch over one eye, and she's pointing at me with her baton, and she says, "Not there, there," and I start laughing and laughing, and my friend looks at me like I'm crazy, and maybe I was. And that was the funniest thing that ever happened to my mother. And you know, that describes my mother to a T.
Right.
You know, because you know what, there are some people who go through that experience of a death camp.
Right, right.
And they come out of it with the weight of the world on their shoulders. And you know, I'm not saying one is bad, one is good. You know, I mean, these things affect us, and we all it's not just the death camps. I mean, there's so many stories around the world, refugee stories, people who have escaped horrendous conditions, and you know, they come out of those experiences. You know, I recently spoke in Jamaica, and I'm telling this story to a group of people, a whole nation who went through, you know, experience, or their ancestors went through experiences like that not that long ago. And you know, so there are people who go through those experiences with either the weight of those memories weighing down on them, and there are other people who go through those experiences feeling like every breath is a gift.
Right,
right. And that described my mother, and one of my fondest memories of my mother was like right here in my backyard on a day just like today, and she's dancing, and there's no music.
Right.
No music. You know, because my mother made her own music, and she laughed, and for her every breath was a gift, and I think she passed that on to me, and you know, and she shared that with me, and she shared the story of her, and I didn't know that story. So
right,
you know, going back to Mo Mondays, and I said there's a lot of my mother in Mo Mondays, you know, is when we could take a look at experiences like that and say, and every breath of life is a gift.
Right. So those are the type of stories that are shared at Mo Mondays, and that seems to be why it has gotten so popular. I can see that.
You know, a lot of us are in the personal transformational community. I was in the, you know, for a long time, and I love it, and it's great. And again, it's one of those things, you know, I want to bring in an element of that, but it doesn't have to be several weekends or cost thousands of dollars. We don't have to fly in a guru from halfway around the world. You know, the person who's got the wisdom that we need to hear for that day could be the person who's sitting next to you.
True.
You know,
True.
we all have a piece of wisdom that's useful to somebody else in the room.
That is so true.
And we can laugh about it. It could be fun. It's got fun. Come on, guys, lighten up.
Yeah, you know, sometimes the world is so serious, and I think some people think Bill and I are kind of crazy because Bill is very happy. He's a happy person. I'm a happy person, but it takes a lot to really to get him going. I mean, it really takes a lot. And if it gets to that point, he'll say, "Lim, I can't handle this. Take care of this."
Exactly.
He's not going to let anyone put him in that position, you know, and there are people that are like that, you know, and I'm glad you shared that with your mother, because what most people don't really know is the camp that she was going into was really bad. But in a bad situation, she still had some fun in a bad situation.
Well, I think it has, you know, people say, you know, attitude is everything, and holy cow, you know, it's true.
Wow.
So think about that next time you're having a bad day.
Right, you know. There are no bad days.
Yeah.
My goodness. Well, man, this has been amazing. I'm glad about Mo Mondays. How can we find you, Michel?
Oh, listen, that's easy. MoMondays.com is the easiest way. MoMondays.com. And hey, listen, I tell you, this is spreading across the country. If someone is interested in starting one up wherever they are, that's cool. Just there's a form to fill out on the website, and again, it's MoMondays.com. They'll find information for me right there on the site. I'm moinfo@momondays.com. If somebody's interested in bringing me on as a speaker for their conference or event or something like that, then they can go to my corporate website, which is my last name.com, neray.com, and get to me that way, and it's all good.
So on this momondays.com, are there like any actual events on here that we can see with videos from past shows or anything like that?
So, we're big on Facebook and social media,
Nice.
as I'm sure you are. So
Right.
you can go on Facebook, look at facebook.com/MoMondays, and we post video highlights there. We post video highlights of all the events on YouTube, stuff like that. There's a Facebook group for every location.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So you can go to, facebook.com/groups/momondays.city, and you'll find a Facebook group for that. Yeah, it's how we do it. That's how people could find out more and learn more about it and join the groups and like Mo Mondays on Facebook, do all that fun stuff, and connect with people there.
Very, very nice. So, man, I am so excited you came on and joined and shared this information with us. I'd like to thank all those from Periscope. You got to see actually the website there, so that you can go check it out, and the Facebook page. It was exciting having you on talking about this. That makes, wow, that breaks it to a deeper level for me now. I might be considering, looking into that Mo Monday. That's new. It's something that, getting people in your area and getting them out there and kind of seeing their story. They're not necessarily pitching anything, but after the event is over, that's a nice person that you can connect with, and and they know someone.
Yeah.
As well. Everyone has a story. I don't care.
Everyone has a story, and Lem, people tell me this is the best non-networking event they go to. They make the best connections, and that's the truth. And there's a whole science to how we do it, how we set up the tables to increase the interactivity and connection between people. But we also tell people, leave your business cards in your pocket. People, human to human.
Nice. I love it. All the way from Canada. I tell you guys, we gotta move to Canada. Bill, you have anything you want to say, man?
No, I'm intrigued. Like just the whole starter line of what I was expecting today. I think I was expecting very low because I got way more than I was expecting. But no, I like it. I mean, I was just looking at the Mo Mondays thing while you guys were talking. That looks intensive. I can see why so many people are joining it right away because, like you said, it's the best non-networking event. That's a networking event, you know.
It's best.
Yeah. But it does. I mean, I was just watching a video, the one video, and I mean, like that looks pretty intensive. People really get into it. I can see why it grows so fast.
And it's fun, and there's a halftime show and a game prizes. It's just fun. We laugh a lot.
I need to check that out. A halftime show?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Wow.
I mean, who has a halftime show at their networking event?
Yeah.
Awesome. Amazing, amazing. So once again, Michel Neray, thank you for coming on here. Guys, go check them out at momonday.com. We will have the information on our Saturday Cup of Joe website. You can reach out to him through the info, and his bio will be there as well. Guys, go back and watch the replay of this. You'll get a lot of heartwarming information. Man, this has been great, buddy. I really appreciate you coming on. I know you're busy.
Thank you, Lem. Thank you, Bill. Yeah, this has
great,
been fun for me.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Awesome, awesome. So, guys, if you have any questions, you can always go to the website of SaturdayCupOfJoe.com and click on the microphone and ask us questions. We will answer them. We're so glad that Bill is back with us today. He's very busy. Bill, let me ask you this. Have you been fitting for that tux yet?
Yes.
Oh! It's a miracle. Very nice, very nice. Awesome. All right, well.
Yep, absolutely.
Awesome. Everybody have a wonderful weekend. And Michel, thank you so much. Guys, check him out on the site. Hey, this has been awesome, man. I wish we could have talked about more, but I know we would have been over time. We'll try to get you back on with some other stuff because I still have questions about the LLP and all that you do. So that might be a different topic, different show, right?
It's all good. It's all good. All connected too.
It is all connected.
Thank you, Bill.
Thanks, Guy.
All right, guys. We'll see you. Have a great weekend. We'll talk to you soon. And to my Periscope